We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. Nick Barris along with Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall. Good to have him on. Our regular guest comes on every month. And phone lines are up, 737-7587. Looking at the monitor there if you want to call in, join in the conversation. Got some lines open. Let's start off. He always calls in because he knows your dad, really, I think. Okay. And it's Joe. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
Okay, just a little brief statement on juries.
Yeah.
I've had the occasion to be on 2 federal juries and 1 state jury.
Okay.
And if you got 1 or 2 people on that jury that are strong leaders, they can sway the rest of those jurors most of the time. Just like the sheriff said in the OJ case, one of the jurors made a comment after it was all said and done that they heard so much about blood evidence and they just got tired of listening to it, and all they wanted to do was go home. So that's the way that goes. But really what I called in about is this debacle on our jail. How is that going? And when are they going to get started? And I was talking to somebody that works at a state facility, and they was wondering if any of the prisoners that you have are going to be put in some of the state facilities, or do you already have some places lined up for them to go? This is going to be an astronomical task to take on, and it's I don't know. I'm like you. I know you discussed it with what happened, and the easy out was to put it where you wanted to put it, and this has just been a mess.
Yeah.
Well,
Joe, what you like, and say hello to Dad.
Hey, I'll do that. I really appreciate that, Joe. And Joe stays so engaged with this conversation, but he is right. It's going to be it's the decisions made, and we're going to tear down the downtown facility. We're going to move everyone out for 3 to 4, 5 years maybe, and then move everybody, build a $120 million complex, probably a $200 million deal when it's over with. Move everybody back, once it's all done, and in the interim, we're going to move folks out to the Harding Place site, which is really where the beds are that are available, and that's what we're going to be left to do, and it's a little different time. I mean, this is my 4th mayor to work with. I was the chief deputy when Mayor Bredesen was there, but working, and then was the sheriff for the last 3, and. It's a little different philosophy. I think Mayor Berry kind of sees her role in involvement of deciding how, what, and where, and when the jail, how it should be built, where it should be built, and all that, in a much more engaged way. And it's kind of, she's taking the lead on all of that. I have some strong feelings about making sure that it's operationally sound, because that's what we do and we're elected to do. Been a little bit different setting, and I was much closer to the way that Mayor Dean was running it, and as far as the mayor's office, and we were, I think, working together. This is a little different. It's them kind of managing the project. We're obviously the major stakeholder, and I think it's been handled a little differently, and we're just trying to get used to that. I'm anxious to see how it turns out, but. A lot to do, a lot of work to do. We're working, I mean, gosh, I can't tell you how many hours a week we put into making arrangements and moves for temporary assignments, and then moving everybody back, in 4 or 5 years. So, and it's a very expensive way to do it. We're going to spend a lot more money doing it this way than you would have done if we'd done it on Harding Place. But the city spoke, and we have to listen, and that's what we're going to do.
You have to do it. Now, I think where I did see you just recently, it was very brief, actually, the budget hearings, right? Were you not there, and you were, in and out in like half an hour or something?
Yeah. A lot of people, the police department, fire department, I think virtually everyone was asking for more money to operate their budgets. We have never been over budget in 14 years. We manage our money. We take that very seriously. We're very aggressive with it. And so we ask for what we need, and if we need it, we would be up there doing that. That's the operating budget. What we did ask for, and what we are going to need, is we're going to need a headquarters building for all of our operation. When the jail's finished, the downtown, that will accommodate half of our jail functions. The remaining half will be out on Harding Place. Okay. But all the things that support that, our training division, our warrant division, our administration, our investigations, our compliance division, 200 staff won't have a home. They're not going to be located in the jail. That's a jail building is all you're getting for that money, $110 million. Whereas had we moved to Harding Place, $110 million would have done everything. But when you come downtown, it's so much more expensive. It only builds the jail.
But now, okay, is that the way it's set up now? You have the jail downtown, and then your office is just down the road from it. What's going to happen to that facility where you are now?
There's 500 inmates in the building I'm in
that
now,
one
and
already
they're moving up the street in the new jail. So that jail where I live is no longer needed. So that's an empty building, and I'll be sitting there with our 30 or 40 administrative staff, really occupying a whole block.
So you're going to want that plowed under and have to build the new facility for you guys, for all the staff?
I would suggest that we move us to Harding Place as an administration building, because it's a cheaper and better building, and the other half of our operations out there. And we'll have training and vehicles and our warrant staff and all sorts of traffic.
No one's going to object to that, really, would they? I mean, I understand the objection before to moving the jail out there, where some of the residents didn't like that idea. But you're not talking about moving inmates there. You're talking about moving the administrative offices, which I don't see. In fact, I think that's a positive. That's going to bring business to that area.
Right. It's 200, tax-paying citizens, no inmates, no security issues.
Going to restaurants and all of that.
But we need the mayor, and we hope she will put that in her budget this year, because it'll take 2 to 3 years to do that as well. So when you finish the jail and you finish that, then you'd have 2 pieces of property downtown, 1 big jail, and you'd be in Harding Place with everything else we do. Right now, we're on 5 locations.
Okay.
And so when it's all over with, if we could consolidate that, you would save a lot of money operationally, and it really makes it much easier on our staff. We, when you have 2 people calling sick, or this one's out, or car wreck, or slow to work, when you're on the same campus, it's easier to send someone from one building to the other to do that. Right now, you have to get in the car and drive across town. You get all sorts of issues, and we'd like to be on the same complex. So hopefully the mayor will do that. We have spoke many times, and she said she supports that privately, and so this was our formal way to budget, from a budget standpoint, to ask for it, and we hope she'll do it.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to Cindy. Cindy, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Cindy, go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask the sheriff a question.
Okay.
Okay, I couldn't get an honest answer about annotated law. Believe it or not, I did call the governor, the senator, all my congressmen, and all my city council members, and all of them said the same thing. Ask so-and-so. I couldn't even get an officer to give me an answer. Okay, with all the crime that's going on, we're getting affected with a big crime that happened last night that's been going on. And I was up, and I keep seeing the cops go down my street. And you got to look at Mount Juliet is getting infected. As we all left Antioch. And I'm not worried about a jail that's going to be a country club. I don't want that at all. These guys got to learn. Because most of them, when they get out, they say, oh, well, I've got this, that, I'm crazy, and you get a free ride, and that's not right. But then again, when it came to my mother, and Paul he said, nobody care about your mother and stuff.
Well, but what crime are you talking about? What was it? What question about the law do you have? You're kind of bouncing all over the place, Cindy. What law question do you have that you're not getting an answer for?
How does the sheriff feel about Nashville having so much crime every day on the news, as well as everyone else?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, she's right. In Wilson County, Sheriff Bryan was out there. I was out there Friday. It was a bank robbery in Gladeville, which is just a few miles from where I live anyway, and we were out there, and the guy used a fake bomb to rob the place. They ended up catching the clown later, but I mean, it happens everywhere now.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville's growing in a lot of ways, and I think we have to realize that. I was driving through Atlanta recently, and I thought, gosh, this is not what we want to be, and there's so much.
I was just there too, the sprawl.
Oh gosh, and so you think about where Nashville wants to be and what we need to do. What's interesting, most people wouldn't understand or wouldn't believe, is that the number of people being arrested is actually going down the last 4 or 5 years. It's not. And crime rates are the worst data to ever look at, because it's really reported crime versus arrested crime. But as far as people coming to jail, we have 1,800 empty beds. So there are fewer people coming to the system than ever before. And that doesn't mean that there aren't crimes on streets and bank robberies, but I do think we have to kind of balance out what is the general understanding. I mean, you hear me every month say this, but I mean, if you look at who is coming to jail, that's a crime in itself too. I mean, we have a lot of issues that really aren't jail material that are ending up here. And the reality is, until society accepts the fact that we need to deal with the addiction situation, we need to deal with mental health, then you're gonna have, I think, and that's really where the issues are. I mean, I'm telling you, Nick, the thing that everybody, there's, I think it's this week, there's an opioid conference here, but the whole issue of heroin and the whole issue of addiction with prescription pain medicine is everywhere. And it's I mean, think about this. There were more people last year who died of an overdose of heroin than in car wrecks or guns.
Is that right? And heroin, you're saying? Yeah.
Well, think about that.
I know more people are using heroin now instead of the pills, right?
And think about this. 3 out of 4 of those people who committed suicide or overdose. Overdose. 3 out of 4 of those people started on pain medicine. It wasn't street junkies as we used to think of heroin.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, more people died of overdosing from a drug called heroin than did in a vehicle or with a weapon.
So, listen, hang that thought, because we have to go to an absolute break here. And when we come back, absolute means we've got to take it or it cuts us off. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about that, what you're seeing in terms of some of the folks coming in with the addiction. And then almost always they have a mental illness component with it, which I know is a big issue for you. We'll be back with that and more calls from you with Sheriff Darren Hall right after this. Stay with us.